Dear Justin, thank you for being one of the first artists to interview for the love story. We barely had a website back then, yet you went for it. At the time, I shared with you my story struggling with depression, and so you knew what your story could mean for so many people like me going through what you and I have gone through and are probably still going through. What I didn't tell you was how much your music has personally impacted me. See, in 2013, after I had survived my first suicide attempt, I was still ideating. The voices and thoughts were on a loophole, and I was taking bipolar pills, chasing it down with vodka, hoping that it would just numb me out permanently. Before we met, before Love Story, I had decided to take up snowboarding. I guess the ice helped me cool the hot fire within me. I was afraid that it might consume me if I did not find a better way to discharge it. So what better way than to be surrounded by ice and rocks? For 2 seasons, I could only leaf down the mountain. Carvers were for professionals and for smart people. I was too afraid, dumb, and clumsy. But I went alone. Because I was in so much pain and mental anguish, the falling, scraping, the cuts and bruises that ensued along the way of learning actually felt good. I kept falling. I kept crying. I kept getting angry, frustrated, and impatient with myself. I would do this about 3 to 4 times a week. I would just drive up that mountain and expect to get fucked up. And I would listen to your Angels EP. One song that stuck out the most is Bury Now. See, for the longest time, I've been hiding from the dark in the light, Justin.
It was pretty much at the lowest point of my emotional well-being, the lowest point that I've ever been in my life. I had already struggled with depression a lot throughout my life. Was diagnosed with bipolar, and I just dealt with a lot of really overpowering emotions, but I started dating this girl, and at the time I was just in a really existentialist, just nihilistic point in my life. And so I was drinking super heavily, lots of drug use, I just didn't care at all. I was just making music all day. So I was just at a really low point. And then I started having panic attacks on top of everything. And I was just going crazy. And I started making music under Cataclysm, just in my room, just for myself, just purely. It's not like I did it purposefully as a therapeutic thing, but it ended up being a therapeutic thing. I did it basically just as I was just making whatever. I was just doing whatever, similarly to the street art thing.
I never admitted that I was bipolar, not even after the diagnosis in 2013. It was when you came out on camera for the love story. That's when something inside me started shifting. I got tingles. I thought to myself, such courage. After the interview, I meditated on why your music pulled me through during the ice age of my icy heart. I needed to learn how to stand on my own 2 feet. And Bury Now was the guiding force in pushing me forward so that I could push through.
I wish I could rely on another's 2 feet to stand, another's 2 feet to stand. I wish I could provide another alternative, another your skin. And all you ever wanted was a life to live again. You're not alone. You will carry on. And I found another reason to love the life I live, to see the world that much, to bury all my sins. I'm not alone. I will carry on. Hands on life, we hide from the dark and the light, and I survive with my heart torn and all of my lungs. So you're so right. I've been waiting for you all my life. You're right.
I gave myself permission to cry, to bruise, to fall, and then to get back up again and do it all over. I knew that the key to carving was shifting my hips towards gravity. Knees bent, the weight of my body leaning down slope so that it may free up the other half of my body to pivot, thereby controlling the speed, thereby controlling the direction like a rudder on a ship. Like a rudder on a ship, I was sailing.
And I can be the cure to your heartache. Hands on eyes, we hide from the dark and the light, and I'll survive with my heart torn and all of my lungs. So you're so right. I've been waiting for you all my life. You're right on time. My heart to give out to your lungs, my Lord.
I realized that the secret to freedom was embracing the fear of falling rather than trying to protect myself from it. When I had fallen so much that the anger burned up, the frustration got cold, and the impatience froze time itself. Both my body, mind, and spirit learned that one must face and embrace the fear in order to harness and control it. Artists like yourself who had inadvertently, through your creative expression, became the spiritual guide I needed during one of the darkest times of my life, hidden in light. I believe angels work through humans. When I had asked you why you had named your EP Angels, you had told me you didn't know. 3 years later, as I'm writing this letter, I reflect upon what I had told you while driving us from Union Station to the interview. I told you that your content will turn into an art book. And now it's more than just an art book. It is an interactive diary designed specifically for the brokenhearted to break our hearts open.
If people knew that it was me, then I just felt so much pressure and I just couldn't make real art. And so it took about a year of Crywolf existing before I was finally comfortable enough to take the real vulnerable art and put it out under a name where thousands of people are going to listen to it. And it was terrifying. The first time when I first released Ghosts, because it actually had my real vulnerable art on it, it was one of the scariest things I've ever done.
It's leaning into the fear, just the way I did it downslope. Something you had taught me on the day of our interview, when the pain of hiding exceeded the pain of revealing your heart to the world, and when you began standing true to your own art, realizing that you don't fit into any box, you're not any one type, but you are you. That day, you gave me permission to just do my art. Sorry I couldn't find snowboarding pants and canceled our snowboarding trip. If you're in Colorado, hit me up. I have a lift ticket for you. Love and blessings, MJ. Dang it. Well, anyway, hi.
So